It's Cadasalin on Sporting Icons.
Okay, so the IBF have withdrew their order of Oleksandr Usyk to take on Filip Hrgovic next. And we'll get into the reasons why shortly. First things first, statement by the IBF to Nissa Sauerland. Nissa Sauerland, of course, is the co-promoter of Filip Hrgovic. And this is what they had to say to Nissa. It was nice speaking with you regarding Filip Hrgovic. Oleksandr Usyk is the IBF, WBA, WBO heavyweight champion. Oleksandr Usyk made a mandatory defence of the WBO heavyweight title against Anthony Joshua on September 25th, 2021. On November 12th, 2022, the IBF ordered Oleksandr Usyk to commence negotiations with IBF mandatory challenger Filip Hrgovic, who became the IBF heavyweight mandatory contender on August 20th, 2022, by winning an IBF elimination bout against Zhilei Zhang. On November 14th, 2022, the WBA notified the IBF that the WBA was next in the rotation system established by the IBF, WBA, WBC and WBO. The IBF agrees that the WBA is next in the rotation. Based on the information provided by the WBA, the IBF is rescinding the order for Oleksandr Usyk to commence negotiations with Filip Hrgovic for a mandatory defence of the IBF heavyweight title dated November 12, 2022. The winner of the WBA heavyweight mandatory defence would be ordered to make a defence of the IBF heavyweight title within 180 days of the WBA mandatory defence. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact me. Regards, Daryl J. Peoples, who is the president of the IBF. There you go. Now, firstly, I wish people would write proper English. It's like they go round the houses and it's hard to keep track of it. Now, firstly, they did make a bit of an error here, which is where they say Oleksandr Usyk made a mandatory defence of the WBO heavyweight title against Anthony Joshua on September 25th, 2021. No, it was Anthony Joshua who made the WBO mandatory defence against his mandatory challenger, Oleksandr Usyk. So they've got that a little bit wrong, but hey, we get what it is that they're talking about. Now, this goes back to what I was saying quite some time ago. If you remember, when the IBF first put out that they've ordered Usyk to defend the IBF against Filip Hrgovic, it was a case of, I said, but the WBA is up next. Why have the WBA not ordered their mandatory? It's like they're taking a long time to do it. As I pointed out on many occasions, there is a rotation system. The WBO mandatory defence was last up. That was when Oleksandr Usyk fought Anthony Joshua the first time round. Then it's going to be the WBA. Then it's going to be the IBF. Then back round to the WBO again. So the WBA is up next, not the IBF. But of course, there was always ways around it for the fact that the WBA had not ordered their mandatory at that time. It took them a long time to do it. Why? Only they know why. Maybe it's because they're incompetent, I don't know. But regardless, Dan Dubois is the WBA regular world heavyweight champion. He is next up for Oleksandr Usyk. Unless, of course, Oleksandr Usyk fights Tyson Fury for the undisputed unification bout. Okay. Now, Frank Warren played a bit of a blinder. He got hold of the WBA straight away as soon as the IBF ordered Hrgovic and said, listen, surely the rotation system means WBA is up next. So therefore, you need to be ordering your mandatory defence, do you not? I'm going to presume that's kind of how the conversation went. And in due course, that's surely what they've done, which then got in the way of the Filip Hrgovic one, which again, we've covered all this before. Now, it's a strange situation because I can quite honestly see that the winner of Fury Joshua will have to vacate all the belts anyway, pretty much all the belts. And it also goes back to the point where I made some time ago, and I know Queensbury are unhappy with the fact that I pointed it out, where they're saying that Joe Joyce is up for Oleksandr Usyk next, as in the winner of Usyk Joshua Part 2. I'm like, no, he ain't, because of the rotation system. Fast forward, look, everything I said, exactly how it is. WBO is not up next. Joe Joyce is not up next. That's how I was saying that they've made an absolute blinder. And they've done fantastic for Dan Dubois, the fact that they got him into the WBA position, because they knew the WBA was up next. So he'll get that title opportunity before Joe Joyce, even though Joe Joyce beat Dan Dubois. Anyway, Queensbury were unhappy with the fact that I pointed that out, but hey, what can you do? Either way, that is the situation. So now the WBA is up next. Of course, Dan Dubois, he's going to step aside and all that kind of stuff. Of course he is, or maybe he's still injured, I don't know. So nothing is going to get in the way of Fury Usyk fighting for Undisputed. That is, of course, if Tyson Fury still wants to fight for the IBF. As previously he said before, he didn't want to fight for the IBF. He doesn't care about the IBF. But it appears that he's okay with it now, which is cool. Anyway, that is the news. You drop your thoughts below about it. Click thumbs up, subscribe. Catch you next video.